This will be a 200 lit. Ready, begin. Ladies and gentlemen, the concerns of working women are one of the few subjects that I didn't have to be educated about because I grew up with them. I lived with my grandparents until I was 4, and my grandmother was a working woman from the 1930s on. In the little town where I was born, an awful lot of the women, both white and black, who lived in poor families or near poor families worked as a matter of course. No one gave much thought to it one way or the other. My mother was a working woman from the 1940s on, beginning shortly after I was old enough to at least crawl around on my own. And it certainly never occurred to me for the first day that I met Hillary that she would do anything other than pursue her career. As a matter of fact, I spent the first 2 or 3 years of our relationship trying to talk her out of it because I thought it would be bad for her career. But it's worked out all right for her, I think. 75 years ago, a reception like this would not have taken place. In 1920, women had less than 1 in 5 jobs in this economy. And as Hillary said, there were only then gaining the right to vote. When the Women's Bureau was born, it was designed then to improve the lot of women in the workforce by fighting for fair wages and expanding opportunities for education and training and protecting women physically at work. Those folks 75 years ago would be surprised at how far we've come. Hundreds of women here celebrate the progress that we have made in all walks of American life. I'm proud that in this administration we have 6 women cabinet secretaries, twice as many as have ever served in any cabinet of the president before. Over 40% of our appointees have been women, and a far higher percentage of women have been appointed to the bench and to major federal positions than previous administrations. All of you represent women across this country who work long hours. Do your best to raise your families and contribute to your communities. Extraordinary working women today are doing their best to hold our country together, our communities together, and frankly, our hard pressed middle class together. They deserve our admiration, our respect, and most importantly, our support. I ran for office in large measure because I was afraid that having won the Cold War, we might squander the peace and the victory, that having struggled so hard to make the American dream available to other people around the world, we might lose it for large numbers of our people here at home as we move into the 21st century and the global economy. I believe that my job is first to provide for the security of the American people. Secondly, to give people the tools they need to help themselves live up to their God given potential. And thirdly, to try to create as many opportunities as I possibly can. In a way, the first major piece of legislation I signed as president, which had been bouncing around here for 7 years, was representative of all 3 of those objectives. It was the family and medical leave law. Not very long ago, I was home for a couple of days and I went back to my old church, and a lady I didn't know came up to me and said, I really want to thank you. I know we're not supposed to talk about politics at church, but I don't really think this is politics. I got cancer and I had to take some time off and deal with it. And my husband had to take some time off and work with me. And neither one of us lost our jobs. And we're both back working now. And it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for the family and medical leave law. But there is much, much more to be done. I am proud of the fact that last year the Small Business Administration cut its budget but expanded loans to women entrepreneurs by 85% in 1 year. But I think it's important that we recognize that women in the workplace are caught in a lot of cross currents today because all American workers, or at least more than half of us, are working longer hours for the same or lower pay than we were making 10 years ago. And therefore, more and more parents are working harder for the same or less and spending less time with their children. Women feel this pressure very deeply insofar as they have either sole, primary, or even just half of the responsibility for taking care of their children as well as earning a living. Because male workers over the age of 45 on average have lost 14% of their earning power in the last 10 years, women in the workforce and in the home feel the anxiety of their husband's sense of loss and insecurity and frustration and anger. What is causing all this, and what are we to do about it? Well, what is causing it all is the impact of the global economy and the dramatic revolution in technology on our society. In 1993, we have the largest number of new businesses started in America in any year in history, and the largest number of new millionaires in America in any year in history. That is a good thing. And that is happening because so many of us are now able to access the world of the future. Many of you in this room are part of the trend toward a brighter, bigger, broader tomorrow. But there is also a fault line in our society that is splitting the middle class apart, putting unbearable pressures on families, making them less secure, and making them less able to live up to the fullest of their abilities. That's why the family and medical leave law was important. If people are going to be working for smaller companies, not bigger ones, and moving around, at least they ought to know they can take some time off without losing a job if there's someone sick in their family, or if a baby is born, or some other emergency arises. I have done everything I could to create a climate in which people are encouraged to choose work over welfare, in which people are encouraged to be successful parents and successful workers. I believe that. That's what the earned income tax credit was all about in 1993. Let me tell you what that meant. That meant this year that the average family of four with an income under $27,000 got a $1,000 tax cut below what they paid before this administration came into office. And it means 3 years from now, if the Congress will stick with it and not repeal it, we will be able to say that no one who works full-time and has children at home live below the poverty line. That is the best war against welfare we could wage. But it isn't enough. If we do not raise the minimum wage this year, next year it will be, in real dollar terms, the lowest it has been in 40 years. Now, that is not my idea of what the 21st century American economy is all about. I want a smart work, high wage economy, not a hard work, low wage economy. And the working women of America and their children and their husbands deserve it as well. If we are going to bring our budget deficit into balance, which will be good for all of us, if we're going to have to, over a period of years, cut back on expenditures that the government used to make, that makes it even more important for people who do go out into the private sector and work full-time, play by the rules, and want to make their own way without public assistance to be awarded for that work. This is a huge issue.